And hello, everybody. Welcome to the Power Man Podcast. My name is Rory Paquette, and I am, as always, your very humble host. Pleasure to be here today. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to be here. Love it, love it, love it. And we have a very, very, very special guest with us today. So I love this guy's stuff. I'm sure you will too. Um, the host and creator of the Sovereign Man Podcast. Awesome name. And his name is Nicky
Thank
Billou. Nicky, welcome, man.
Rory, man, thanks for having me on the show. It's an honor to be here, brother.
Thank you for that. Feeling is mutual. Um, Nicky, I love your podcast. When you and I first connected, I started listening to some of the episodes, and you don't mess around. I mean, in your podcast topics, you're not like, hey, 3 ways to, dress nice. I mean, you're talking about is porn a way of societal control? You know what I mean? And being strong and protecting your family, the bull versus the cow. I mean, you get into some very, very tough, very meaningful topics in your podcast. I love it personally. Um, what got you into doing this kind of thing, man?
Well, I appreciate the question. So my story began in September of 2009, where seemingly out of the blue, my then wife decided that she no longer wanted to be married to me. And I was absolutely blown away. You know what I mean, brother?
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Blown away. It was, yeah, I appreciate it, but it was it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy what happened to me. And I went down a dark rabbit hole. I didn't really understand why she left. I was upset, and as a result, I joined up with a man who helped men that were going through relationship distress. His name's Owen Williams, and he does a program called Relationship Excellence. And Owen got me involved in a men's group. So I was in a men's group for the very first time in 2010. And I've pretty much been in a men's group ever since. And I started to realize that, I had a great father. He taught me a lot by example, but he also worked a lot and he was away a lot. And our society had changed. So the whole rites of passage thing didn't really happen. And I started to realize that, man, there's a lot of men that need this. So I started to enroll men into doing programs. I did a program called the Sterling Men's Weekend. It was a great program. And I got a lot of men excited about doing the Sterling Men's Weekend. I put up over 50 men on that program. And I saw how it could help change men's lives. And I just thought, men need this. Men need to be a part of a brotherhood of men to show them the way, because society is not teaching us how to be great men. You know what I'm saying, my brother?
No, 100%.
Society's doing quite the opposite, right? And as a result, for me, it was extremely important to be at the forefront of helping uphold and uplift manhood and masculinity. And so I started Sovereign Man really to do that. We have had a number of men come and a number of men go, our community. And the work we do in Sovereign Man is we uphold men and masculinity, but we do the work of men. And a lot of men love the concept. Man, I want to be in a men's group. Man, it's so great. I'm so pumped. That's awesome. But they're not there to do the fucking work. You know
Right.
what I mean? They're not
Absolutely.
there to sit down, do the introspective stuff, look at themselves, and admit where they're being fuck ups, which is what work of men is. You get stronger as a man by looking at yourself in the mirror and letting other men be a mirror for you and help you see where you're being a fuck up and where you can shift it. And here's the thing for me. I've started to realize in the last month, for the very first time, something that men have noticed about me forever, which is I'm a man who doesn't always have control of his emotions, or didn't always have control of his emotions, and would let himself get emotionally hooked. And that's nobody's fault. It's my fucking fault, you know? And so I had to like come and say, okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be less hooked by uh, my emotional reactions. And that's a good thing, right? To be less hooked by your fucking emotional reactions,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely, for sure.
But it's a very good thing. But here's the deal. It's not something that is going to overnight disappear just because I had this realization. It's something I got to work on. So if a man comes to our community, he's going to be pushed to work on things. And if he's not ready to work on shit, then I got to tell you, it's not going to work well for him. That group is not going to be a place he's going to want to stay. So we've had a lot of men come all excited and then leave because when they were, pushed to do the work, they didn't want to do the work.
It's interesting to hear you go that direction with it on the controlling your emotions thing, and I agree with you completely. I think you interviewed me a little while back, and I have a feeling you and I are on the same page about an awful lot of stuff. So
one or two things, right?
yeah, just a couple. There seems to be two movements right now for men, that are sort of prevalent. One is like you're talking about, control your emotions. Be more cerebral about it, kind of get things under control so that you're not being ruled by how you feel right at that moment. It gives you a chance to think through things, and then there's the other
Exactly.
movement of hey, you matter too. You gotta feel your feelings. You gotta get in touch with your inner child. You gotta it's okay to sit there and cry, and be overwhelmed because hey, nobody gets you. And it's more of a soft shoe approach to make men feel better. What's your thought on that in
Exactly.
terms of the division, and how that goes?
Look, there are men right now who definitely need a soft approach, right? Because they're really messed up. But I think the average man needs to be challenged more. You know what I'm trying to say, brother?
Sure.
And it's the lack of men being challenged that is a problem in our society. Men are being treated like little sissies, and that's the problem. And this is actually an insidious thing that's being done by the evil men and women of the Marxist movement. So 100 years ago, the Soviet Union came into existence, right? A little over
Mhm.
100 years ago. And their plan was to take over the world. Take over the damn world, man. You think about that. That's absolutely crazy, don't you think? Um, and what they wanted to do was they wanted to go and um, weaken the West and the United States in particular. Do you know what I'm trying to say, man?
Yeah, no, I'm following you completely. Yeah, go on. Absolutely.
Yeah. So as a result of this, right, we have been faced with an onslaught of an attack on the family, of an attack on manhood and masculinity. The women's lib movement was not created because all of a sudden, after 7,000 years of recorded civilization, people realize, oh my God, men are horrible. They've been treating women badly. That's bullshit, because that's not what happened. The communists thought, hey, we can drive a wedge between men and women. And if we do that in the West, we can start to weaken men. And if we weaken men, we can take over these societies without firing a shot. So men went from being strong warrior badasses, 17, 18-year-olds, landed on the beaches of Normandy and climbed up the cliffs of Pointe du Hoc and took over Europe by killing the Nazi war machine. And today you got men that are fucking triggered and upset when you don't use the right pronoun. You know what I'm saying? It's
Completely.
fucking nuts, man. It's absolutely fucking nuts.
I mean, it's widely sort of accepted, even by folks on both sides, that, the attack on the nuclear family is the way that you start to weaken a society. But what people don't connect the dots to is that the way you weaken the nuclear family is by wiping out the leader of the nuclear family. It's by wiping out the masculinity of the father. People don't seem to understand that part of it.
You got it. You got it. And that is a massive, massive fucking problem, brother. It is a massive, massive, massive problem. Because if we don't do something to strengthen men and strengthen the family, the enemies of freedom are going to destroy us. And we're going to descend into 1,000 years of darkness. If the United States loses the war for liberty, the battle for freedom, freedom will be lost everywhere soon. And eventually the world will sink into 1,000 years of darkness. And don't kid yourself. That will happen. It's not a hypothetical. It is a existential threat to every single one of us who believes in freedom. Ronald Reagan said freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for. It must be nurtured, right? Otherwise, there'll be a time where men will sit around and say, remember back in the day when the United States and men were once free? Well, my friend Wayne Allen Root, who I co-wrote a couple of Times best-selling books with, said, it's no longer one generation. It's like one election cycle. If the Democrat Party manages to steal 2024 presidential election the way they did the 2020 presidential election, kiss freedom in the world goodbye. World's going communist. And that could be, what the Lord wants, because end times have been prophesied, and maybe this is what's supposed to happen right now. I don't know. But those of us that believe in God, believe in goodness, need to stand up against this, need to stand up for freedom. And we cannot allow these people to come and steal freedom out from under us, because that's what they're doing. Because I'm just going to tell you flat out, okay? Do I have evidence of this? I don't have evidence of this, but there's a lot of things that point to this. So Joe Biden got elected president in 2020 with more black votes than anybody who's ever run for president. You're telling me this man who has a history of insensitive remarks, public remarks toward black people, who was buddies with segregationist, racist senators in the 70s in the Senate, you're telling me he won more black votes than Barack Obama? You're telling me that's possible? I'm just saying. You're telling me this. You're telling me that more black people voted for a man who's buddies with segregationists and makes all kinds of insensitive comments about black people than they would have voted for the very black man to run for president. You're telling me that's possible?
Yeah, I'm not telling you that.
I'm telling you bullshit. I'm telling you bullshit. And now you're telling me that for the last 60 years, there's something called bellwether counties. These are the counties that always vote with the presidential election winner, with one exception, 1948. And 18 out of 19 bellwether counties voted with Donald Trump. One voted with Joe Biden, which means Donald Trump won that election. The only other time the bellwether counties voted for the loser was a split decision. It was like 10-8. You know what I mean? There's never been 18 out of 19 voting for one man and someone else winning the election. And you're also telling me that he was leading in 6 states the night of the election, and then there's a big vote dump that's pretty much 100% to zero for. You're telling me that all happened, and then they're going, oh well, there was no evidence of fraud. I'm like, yeah, because you fuckers shut it down. You did not allow people to actually go in there and look at this. And there's plenty of evidence of fraud. There's a movie called 2000 Mules by Dinesh, which absolutely shows tons of evidence of voter fraud. But the powers that be did not want Donald Trump to be reelected, and they did what they had to do in order to get it done. And that's a fact. And right now, men today need men to show them how to be men. They need to be pushed. They need to be exhorted to go out and do whatever they got to do in order to create a life of their dreams and in order to stand up for our society, our country, our way of life, and make sure that freedom and government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth, to paraphrase the late, great Abraham Lincoln.
I love that. I love it. And I want to go back to that too and talk about that some more in terms of like what we need to do. But, one of the things that I've noticed, and I'd love to hear your thought on this, ever since the election, and I'm glad that you brought it up, is everybody has been really separated along party lines, very tribal, especially at the beginning when it first happened. Nobody, you and I could sit here and talk about common sense points like what we just did, and people will still shake their head and go, yeah, but I don't want to hear that. Yeah, but that didn't happen. Yeah, that's been debunked, so on and so forth. What I've noticed, especially in the last few months, and just on a personal level, is that I'm running into more and more guys who considered themselves previously to be liberals, who their family still considers themselves to be liberals, but they disagree so vehemently with so many things going on that the man of the family, the husband, the father, is reaching out for more masculinity to strengthen himself because he's starting to understand that he's being made to be weak by this new, tribe that he's a part of. And I wonder how much the masculinity movement is going to be able and maybe even responsible for pulling those types of men back over to the other side to reason and common sense and leadership again. Your thoughts?
There are men that are seeking that out. And I think that's one of the reasons why you see so many groups popping up everywhere saying, hey, we help men join our group. And I think it's a good thing that this is happening, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
The more of these groups there are, the better. And I'm a little concerned with some of the groups and some of the gurus that are stepping forward. And most of these gurus that I'm concerned with tend to be younger men who think they've got big swinging dicks. I'm talking about Andrew Tate. I'm talking about fresh and fit Myron and his buddy, and even Rollo Tomasi, who's a little older. I'm talking about these types of men. They say a lot of things that are good, but they also say a lot of things that are flat out stupid. Andrew Tate is 35, 36 years old, and he acts like he's the smartest, greatest man on the planet. And I don't know if he's ever going to see this, but I'm just going to him, Andrew, I don't know you, and I'm sure you're a nice enough man, but you're 35 fucking years old. Sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up. You haven't lived enough to earn the right to say you're smart. Okay? You may be intelligent, you may understand marketing and psychology and that sort of thing, but to say that you've lived enough life is ridiculous. And the other thing I'll say to Andrew Tate is, you're the son of a single mother. You did not have your father around. You were raised by a woman. There's too much feminized influence on you. You don't know it. You don't know that you don't know that. And until you allow yourself to be under the influence of an actual fucking older man who can show you and humble yourself enough to listen to him, who can show you that your abs, how many women you fucked, and how much money you have in the bank account mean nothing in terms of your worth and value as a man. Until that sinks into your fucking noggin, which it obviously hasn't, you're not qualified to open your mouth and share anything with men. I believe I'm a capitalist. I'm a hardcore right-wing capitalist. I believe in making money. I like making money. I'm a man who's into fitness. I mean, I'm 56 years old, and this year I got myself into some really great shape. And I'm in a relationship now, but when I wasn't, and I strongly believe a man who's not in a relationship should go forth and be fruitful, as they say. But these things don't define a man. They just don't. You need money to take care of the things that matter. Money in and of itself doesn't mean shit. You need to be in shape so you've got good health and you can live a long and healthy life. But how big your muscles are and your abs doesn't mean shit in and of itself. And as far as sleeping with a bunch of women's concerned, I mean, really? Dude, yeah, I guess when you haven't done it, that's a good thing to do for you to get that there. But you also got to realize that's a human being on the other end. You know, you got to treat her uh, as something more than a piece of ass. You know, like if you slept with her and she was looking for something more than a one night stand, man, that's not good. If she's, you know, good with it, if she's in a stage in her life where she's like cool with a short term relationship, that's one thing. But to take advantage of a woman who's fallen for you hard, that's fucked, man. It's wrong. It's absolutely fucking wrong. And these 35-year-old dipshits are going around telling people, oh, yeah, do this. No, don't do that. Don't mess with a woman's head. Don't mess with her heart. Be a good man and treat a woman with respect. Now, I'm not telling you to be a doormat and take shit from dumb women either, because there's plenty of them out there. Don't do that. But your context has got to be is that this woman is a child of God, and that, yeah, I like her, I'm into her, I want to sleep with her, whatever, but I'm not going to manipulate her into going to bed with me. If she wants to go to bed with me and I want to go to bed with her, that's cool. But these dudes are talking about getting women to fall for them and then using their emotional lever over this woman to take advantage of her, get her into bed and things like that. That's not, what the fuck's that all about? That's about an egotistical boy pretending he's an actual fucking man. And he's not. He's fucking not. And I don't know if young men watch your show or not, but you know, you need older men to teach you something, young men. You don't need other young men. The blind don't need to be leading the fucking blind. You know, the blind don't need to be leading the fucking blind. The 35-year-old dumbass who made some money and has got a six pack and has got a bunch of girls and studied psychology and got a bunch of girls to fall for him and go to bed with him is not an impressive man. You know who's an impressive man? There was a NFL football player in 2001. His first name was Pat. I forget his last name right now. It'll come to me. And when the Twin Towers were knocked down, he had a contract with the Arizona Cardinals, and
Pat Tillman.
He tore up his contract. Pat Tillman, that's right, Pat Tillman.
Absolutely.
He tore up his contract, and he went to the Middle East to fight terrorists, and he died. I'm impressed with Pat fucking Tillman.
Yeah.
And I ain't impressed with the fact that he went to the fucking NFL. I'm impressed that he gave that shit up to stand up for his community, for his country, for his fellow man and woman, because he knew that there are people that answer the call to fight for freedom. I'm impressed with those people. I'm impressed with the people whose names we're never going to fucking know, who answer the call and go fight to keep freedom alive in the United States and around the world. I'm impressed with those people. I'm impressed with the father who doesn't go out with his friends because his son needs to get his homework done. I'm impressed with the father who stops playing golf on the weekends because his son's in sports or his daughter's in sports and he takes them to sports. I'm impressed with those people. I'm impressed with the friend who gets up at 3 a.m. because his buddy is in trouble and shows up to help his buddy. I'm impressed with those people. I don't give a fuck about Andrew Tate and men like him. Like, give me a fucking break. He's a fucking, like, listen, like I said, I'm sure and I'm telling you this at a personal level, I'm sure if I met him, I'd like him, we'd get along and all that, because there's probably more we have in common than we don't. Really, shut the fuck up, Andrew. You know, take some fucking advice. Stop dishing so much out. All right. Not that I have a strong opinion about this or anything.
I mean,
like that.
You know, I got to tell you, when I asked you that question, I had no idea where you were going to take it. I knew you'd take it someplace, you know, great. I really did. but I wasn't ready for that one, man. I love talking to you, Nicky. I really do. And amen. Freaking men to everything that you just had to say.
Bro.
So
There you go.
we'll get Andrew Tate's response at some point, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
See what he has to say.
Or not. You'll never fucking see this, but whatever.
He might, man. So I tell you what.
If he does and he wants to have a debate, I'm happy to debate him. And he fucking thinks he's so fucking smart and he can out debate and outsmart everybody. Good fucking luck, man. I'm 56, motherfucker. I'll fuck you up in an intellectual debate. It's like a fucking knife fight with a baby for me.
You got to let me host that.
I'll fuck you up, you little punk.
You got to let me host that and mediate it, all right? That's got to be, I got to be the guy.
Now listen, I ain't getting into a ring with him because, he's a 4-time kickboxing champion. I'm sure he'd kick the shit out of me. But an intellectual debate, I'll kick the shit out of him.
Oh, it's fantastic, man. I love it. I love it. You bring up great points, though.
Listen, I'm still a fucking man. And I'll tell you this. Like a lot of men go, well, what if you couldn't fight these dudes who are like champions? I go, you're right. In a ring, they'd kick the fucking shit out of me in probably 10 seconds or less. Let's be honest, right? But in a fight to the death, I like my fucking chances.
There you go.
You want to know why I like my chances, bro?
I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Because I'm 50 fucking 6 and I'm willing to trade my life for his. Question is he willing to trade his for mine? If I die at 56, I don't want to die. I want to live. Don't get me fucking wrong. But I'm ready to die. If it's my time, it's my fucking time. Nice. Is a 36-year-old punk ready to die? Is he?
All right, well, let's dial this off Andrew Tate just for a minute, just in case he decides he wants to call me up, because I'm going to have something I can tell him.
He's never going to hear this show, but if he does, God bless him.
Yeah, I tell you do bring up really, really good points, especially in concerning guys like the Andrew Tates and the younger guys. There are a lot of groups right now, and that's a very valid concern that you just brought up. There's a lot of groups right now being run by younger guys who have great intentions. Maybe they're empaths, maybe they're good at therapy and drudging up getting guys to get in touch with their emotions and things like that, but they don't have the life experience, I don't believe, and I'm clearly you don't either, to really talk to somebody about, hey, I get what you've been through. If you're talking to somebody about what you're going through, you need someone who can actually say, I understand. I've been there, and really mean it. And guys who have lived sheltered lives or, have been taken care of their whole life, silver spoon, the whole bit, guys who have never struggled, guys who have never had to overcome adversity. It's hard to see them leading a men's group and see the guys, following them, thinking that they're getting better. So, I mean, that's a great point that you bring up. What do you have to say about that?
I brought it up. Obviously, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not what do you have to say. What do you do about that? What is it just warn the average guy? Hey, look, be careful who you're taking advice from. Is that where it comes down to? Guys like us going out there and getting
be real fucking careful who you take advice from. Be real careful who you take advice from. So I'll say this, like, for example, Andrew Tate, right? There's things that I would take advice from Andrew Tate on. I mean, he built himself, $100 million fortune. He started his company by, having naked girls on camera. So I wouldn't want to take advice on doing that because I ain't interested in that. But he built himself a following of people who pay him money to teach them advice. So, and he's good at marketing. I definitely take advice from him on that. So you got to determine what you're going to take advice. And if I were to ever say, hey man, I want to learn how to kickbox, I'd fucking take advice from him on that. Because, he's a 4-time world kickboxing champion. But on what it takes to be a man and what type of man to be, no, I ain't advice from him. No. And I think young men need to be careful who you take advice from. Do you want to be like that man? Like if your idea is you're a man in your late teens, early 20s, mid 20s, and you're thinking, yeah, I want to sleep with a bunch of girls, ask yourself, is that really a long-term plan for your life? if you want to sleep with a bunch of girls and you're a young man, okay, fair enough. But how long do you want to do that for? A year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, a lifetime? I'm going to suggest you don't want to do it for a lifetime. You want to find a good woman, you want to settle down with her, and you want to have kids with her. Is what leaves a legacy behind. Immortality becomes possible when your lineage is extended, right? I have 2 sons. I am proud as hell of those 2 sons, but I'm also happy that I had 2 sons. I got married and I had 2 sons because my lineage has been extended by 2 sons. To me, that's very, very important. You know what I'm trying to say?
I do. Yeah, completely. This takes us to, kind of one of our final points here. And that is that, it's important who you're taking advice from, obviously. And we just talked about that at great length, but it isn't just about taking advice from one guy either. You talk about the pack, you talk about the wolf in the pack, you talk about the brotherhood. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, the strength of the wolf is the pack, and the strength of the pack is the wolf.
And break that down for somebody who doesn't quite get what that means. Absolutely.
The strength of the wolf is the pack. The strength of the pack is the wolf. In the famous novel by Alexandre Dumas, The Three Musketeers, the motto of the Three Musketeers is all for one and one for all. All for one and one for all. And the truth of the matter is this: we men learn from other men. And if you just have one mentor and listen to that one mentor, that might be good if you're trying to build, I don't know, a business or lose weight. That's cool. For that, I get it. But if you're looking to have a well-rounded understanding of what it is to be a man, you're better off having 6, 8, 10, 12 men that you can learn from, observe, and who can give you input. Now, do you want advice from all of them? I'm going to suggest no, you don't want advice from all of them, but you do want a reflection of who you're being from all of them. What we do in our group is we have a mirror. So, I invited you to join us, Rory, and I think you weren't able to make the last meeting last time, but you hopefully we can get you to come to the next one. But what we do in those meetings is, if you decide to participate rather than just observe, is you'll come up and we'll go, okay, Rory, what's going on in your world? And you'll say whatever you're going to say. Let's just say, I'm making this up here, that you said, you know what, life is on an 8 out of 10, but my business is a 5 out of 10. And the men would go, okay, Rory, why is your business a 5 out of 10? And then you would answer whatever you'd answer. And the men would keep asking you questions until those questions provoked you to speak out the answer to how to solve being a 5 out of 10 and take you from a 5 to a 6 to a 7 to an 8. That is challenging. Like, if you're sitting there and you've never been exposed to that, we call it an inspection, right?
Okay.
It comes from love, but it's tough love, man. It ain't easy love, It ain't, oh, Rory, you're so brave. You're so brave. No. None of that shit, man. It's like, why the fuck are you a 5, man? And then they're going to go and they're going to get you to look at what it is. And they're not going to put up with you blaming anybody, including yourself. They're only going to put up with you taking responsibility for you creating it and then asking you if you're ready to uncreate it and create something else in its place. That's awesome. Men's work.
Yeah, that is.
That's fucking men's work. It is awesome. Like, I'm telling you, Rory, you're going to love this. Like, I want you there. But the truth of the matter is that men don't know that they need this. They don't know what they don't know.
Right.
They don't get it. But once they're in this, and I don't mean once, because, the first time for most men, this is kind of jarring. They'll go, what the fuck, man? These dudes, why the fuck are they pushing me so hard? Fuck them.
Right.
But once they've been in it for 3 months, 6 months, a year, and they're really like, they're in it. You know what I mean? They're not just watching it. They're in it. They're doing the work. They're going to go, fuck, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm in.
Nice. And I imagine that's hard to take for a lot of guys at the very beginning if they've never experienced something like this.
dude, it is jarring to say the least. The first time I went through it, I wanted to punch somebody. I'm not going to lie to you. I wanted to punch somebody. But, a dozen years later, I'm so grateful for this.
Painful but
So
necessary.
grateful for this.
Yeah, painful but necessary. Needed.
Absolutely, man. It's like you're with a doctor, your arm's broken, he sets the bone. It's going to hurt, but you need to do it.
Nicky, guys looking for help. You've written a couple of books here, right?
I have. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell our listeners what the books are, where they can find them, that kind of thing.
Well, you can go get them on Amazon. So this is a business book I wrote called The Thought Leader's Journey. It's for coaches, consultants, and experts who are looking to grow their business, or someone who's looking to leave their corporate and start a job. It's called The Power of Connecting. It's a book on how to leverage your network to generate money. Again, a business book. This is the first edition of Finish Line Thinking, How to Think and Win Like a Champion. This is the second edition of the same book. I worked with a lot of Olympic champion athletes, gold medalists, things like that. And this talks about how to take that mindset of those champion athletes and apply it to the life of an everyday man. And I think it's powerful. This is a book called Johnny Jobmaker and Kathy Kaplis and Johnny Jobmaker, the video game company. It's teaching little kids about free enterprise. This is my latest book, The Great Patriot Boycott book with Wayne Allen Root, endorsed by President Donald J. Trump. It's a list of patriotic companies to buy from. This is How to Create $1 Million a Year Income, which I wrote with a client of mine who I helped create $1 million a year income for. And this is another book I wrote with Wayne Allen Root, The Great Patriot Boycott book, which is a list of companies to boycott because, they suck and they're not patriotic. And the other book isn't here, but it's a health and fitness book I wrote with Mark McCoy, Olympic gold medalist. It's called Mark McCoy's Gold Medal Fitness Secrets Raw and Real. So that's Nicky Billou's kind of body of literary work.
It's impressive as hell, man. That's beautiful. That is beautiful.
I appreciate it.
And all that's available on Amazon for anybody who wants to check that out and hear a little more of what you had to say 100%. On some of this. Okay, beautiful. If people want to contact you direct and hear more. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say this to you before you do that, Rory. I know I've been a little crusty on the show, and I did it deliberately. When I go on a business show, I'm a lot more sunny and effervescent. But I'm on a men's show, and I wanted to have a real talk with the men that are listening. And the real talk is, there's a time to be positive and ebullient, and there's a time to get real and spit on your hands, rub them together, hoist the black flag, and get ready to slit some fucking throats, metaphorically speaking. And we are at that time right now. We are at that time. If you're a man, your duty isn't just to you and your family and yours. Your duty is to your country and your society and to all mankind. And I came on this show wanting to deliver that message.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And needed. And I agree. I agree 100%, man. I do. Thank you for that. And just for the record, I appreciate the way you came on the show today. I really do. I mean, you gave anybody who's paying attention a very real message today. It wasn't a whole bunch of, just check this out and I want to be prim and proper. I loved every minute of it. And I can't wait to go back and listen to it again. And I appreciate you bringing that here today because people need that. They need that more than ever. More than ever.
I agree.
Thank you, man.
I agree. Yeah, all right. You bet. And I want to say this. I care about you. I care about you, Rory, and I care about you who's listening to the show as a man. You're one of God's children, and I believe in you and the majesty of your potential and your dreams, and I'm here to be of service. So do not get me wrong. I want to see you win in life. that's important. Everybody needs someone to believe in them, someone to give a shit. And I believe in you and I give a shit.
Well, on behalf of everybody else listening, thank you for that. I think myself and a whole bunch of other folks probably need something like that. So thank you, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thanks for having me on the show, man. God bless you, brother.
If people want to contact you directly, you said before it's at and then your name. Is that correct?
At Nicky Billou anywhere on social media. But if you wanna talk, if you want to have a conversation, if you're a man dealing with some issues, or if you just want to have a chat, just go to ecircleacademy.com/appointment. I offer a free call. It's there for business people in general, but I'm offering it to anybody for any reason right now on your show. Just tell me you were listening to me on Rory's show and let's talk. Cheers.
Awesome. Appreciate that too, man. Thank you for that. So, all right, folks, that has been Nicky Billou, raw, unedited, ready to go, and real as hell. So I hope that you guys enjoyed that. I hope you took something away from it. And I hope that some of that resonated with you. And if you're listening to my show, I bet it did. So in closing, we're going to say the same things we always say. And I hope that you guys hear them maybe a little different after everything that Nicky had to say. But you matter, you have value, and it's worth fighting for. You just have to believe it. Until next time.